Hi guys, welcome to Grammar and Writing Lesson 73. Let's start with your vocabulary. These are all things, again, to do with literature, so with books and plays, things like that. So first of all is action, and this doesn't mean like action verb or something like that. This is the action of a story. So this is everything that happens in a story. So what's going on in the story? That's the action. It can be slow action, fast action, all kinds of things. So for example, the story's fast action kept me on the edge of my seat. So you were involved, you were following the plot, you kept turning the pages, that kind of thing. Comedy, that's our next word, comedy. This is the humor in a story. So the things that are funny within the story would be the comedy. A long, long time ago, comedy simply referred to if it had a happy ending, but now it means that it's funny. For example, the author used comedy to make the readers laugh. So he used some funny things in order for the readers to laugh. Then we have dialogue. This is the conversation among the characters. So what the characters are saying to each other, that's the dialogue. For example, the characters' dialogue revealed the plot of the story. So what the characters said to each other gave away the plot, the main idea, what was going to happen in the story. Paradox. Paradox. This is a statement that seems to go against common sense, so what should make sense, but it is still true. So it seems to not make sense, it seems to go against what you would think would happen, but yet is still true. For example, to hate to wake up to an alarm clock, yet to be thankful to wake up, is an example of a paradox. So it doesn't seem to make sense that a person would hate to wake up to the sound of the alarm clock, but yet they're very thankful to be awake. Doesn't seem like it should make sense, but it's true, because you never know if you're going to be granted another day of life, so that's an important thing. All right, let's practice by filling in the blank with the correct vocabulary word. Number 1, a lion laying down with a lamb is a... So this is an example of what kind of the literary terms that we just talked about. Okay, number 2, the blank between Huck Finn and Jim revealed their plans of escape. Think about it, and what would make sense the most in this particular sentence. Number 3, funny descriptions or silly behavior of characters add blank to a novel. Keyword there being funny or silly. Number 4, the car chase provided exciting blank. Okay, let's check it out. Number 1, a lion laying down with a lamb is a paradox. It doesn't seem to make sense that a lion and a lamb could lay down together without the lion eating the lamb, so it's a paradox. The dialogue between Huck Finn and Jim revealed their plans of escape, so it's what the characters are saying to each other. Number 3, funny descriptions or silly behavior of characters add comedy to a novel. They add the humor. And number 4, the car chase provided exciting action. For our writing today, you're talking about revising a character sketch. So this means to look for ways to improve problems. So in your when you write your character sketch and you are editing it, when you go to look over what it needs, that's revising your character sketch. And so look for these kinds of problems when you are revising your own work. The first one is a dull introduction. So something that's very boring, very common even. That's a dull introduction. You want to make it more exciting. Descriptions that don't include enough detail. So if the reader can't picture it, it's not well described. Now, you don't want to write a whole paragraph in description, although you might in some cases, but for the most part, you aren't going to write a whole paragraph, but you do want to make sure that it has enough detail to be interesting. Descriptions that tell rather than show. So look for ways to improve that to make it more of showing instead of just telling what's going on. And lastly, paragraphs that are not unified. So the paragraphs don't go together. Whether it's within the paragraph, it's not unified. So the sentences don't seem to make sense being in the same paragraph as each other. Or even the paragraphs themselves are not unified. You don't have them in a good order with everything that's included making sense. Maybe you have a paragraph that kind of just seems out of place and like it's not necessary for that description of the character. Oops, sorry guys. So for your homework, this is what you're going to be doing. I want everyone to take out page 12. It says revising a character sketch at the top. These are your instructions. Revising a character sketch. Excuse me guys, sorry, I just yawned behind the screen. Read this draft of a character sketch. Then revise it using the suggestions that follow the draft. Use your own paper if necessary. So they provided you with some lines, but if you need more space, you might have to use your own paper. John Lee is my favorite movie actor. Recently, he spoke at our school for a careers assembly. We all sat in the auditorium and listened to his speech. Lee turned out to be taller than I expected, and he was dressed very casually. His attitude seemed very relaxed. In fact, I got the impression that Lee wasn't too excited to be there. He gave his speech just before I had an important math test, and I had a hard time keeping my mind on the assembly. As Lee began, I noticed how he made a big deal about pushing back his long hair. He didn't really tell us much about the acting profession. Most of his speech sounded like an advertisement for his next film. As I listened to Lee's words, my hero worship came to an end. Okay, so this is describing this actor, John Lee, through an experience of meeting him at an assembly and having to listen to him. But it could use some help. So here are the areas that you can focus on to fix it. Number 1, change the opening to make it more interesting. You just open with, John Lee is my favorite movie actor. Recently, he spoke at our school for a careers assembly. We all sat in the auditorium and listened to his speech. I could use a lot more detail to make it more interesting. Number 2, add details about John Lee's height and clothing. All we know is that he was taller than you expected and dressed casually. Well, what was he wearing? How tall was he? And remember to show rather than tell, even in the height and clothing. You'll need to tell about clothing, but you can show with the height. Number 3, show rather than tell about Lee's relaxed attitude. How do you know he had a relaxed attitude? What was he doing to give that impression? So try to show that rather than just tell that. And whoops, I did not mean to click that button. Okay. 1 second. Okay, I would go back, but I can't go back to that slide without erasing everything that I just already said. So, number 4, it says to add details to show that Lee was overly impressed with himself, so he's a little egotistical. And number 5, delete a sentence that isn't related to the focus in the second paragraph. So, look for a sentence that just doesn't really seem to go in that particular paragraph. Okay? Alrighty, that is all you have to do. So complete revising a character sketch on page 12. Let me know if you have any questions about what you need to do. Have a great day, guys. I love you very much. Bye.